What if one night could change the world forever? April 26, 1986 marked such a night at Chernobyl. In the heart of the Ukrainian SSR, nestled in the expansive landscapes, stood the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Before this fateful day, Chernobyl was just another town, largely unknown outside the Soviet Union, tranquil and unassuming. The power plant itself was a marvel of engineering, constructed to meet the burgeoning energy needs of the region. It boasted 4 operational reactors with the promise of nuclear power that was safe, clean, and efficient. As daylight faded on April 26th, the plant buzzed with the usual activity, unaware of the impending disaster. Workers operated the control rooms, maintaining the steady hum of nuclear fission that powered thousands of homes and businesses. But as night deepened, the atmosphere grew tense. A routine safety test was underway in Reactor 4, a test that was meant to simulate a power outage and ensure the reactor could safely shut down until backup generators were operational. As the clock struck 1:23 a.m., Chernobyl's narrative, and indeed that of the entire world, took a catastrophic turn. In the early hours, while most of the world slept, Reactor 4 of Chernobyl was teetering on the edge of catastrophe. On that fateful night, a safety test designed to simulate a power outage and ensure the reactor could safely shut down went disastrously wrong. The test, initially scheduled for the day, was delayed until late at night, when power demand was lower. This critical test was intended to help bridge the gap between losing external power and the full operation of the emergency generators. However, due to a combination of human error and inherent flaws in the reactor's design, the situation quickly escalated. Operators, unaware of the reactor's unique vulnerabilities, proceeded with the test. As they reduced the reactor's power to initiate the test, they inadvertently triggered a dramatic power surge. The reactor's design, lacking robust safety features, failed to contain this surge. Control rods, meant to stabilize the reactor in emergencies, were inserted too late and in a manner that initially increased the reactor's reactivity. Moments later, the first of 2 explosions occurred, ripping through the structure of Reactor 4. The first explosion was likely a steam explosion caused by the rapid superheating of water into steam. This was followed swiftly by a second, more devastating explosion, likely due to hydrogen, which had built up from the zirconium steam reaction. The force was so severe, it blew the 2,000-ton steel lid off the reactor, exposing the core to the open air. Immediately, the plant workers and emergency services sprang into action, despite not fully grasping the magnitude of the disaster. Firefighters arrived at the scene to battle the intense blaze without knowing they were being exposed to lethal doses of radiation. Meanwhile, plant operators scrambled to assess the damage and stabilize what remained of the reactor, all the while exposed to deadly radioactive material. With the reactor building in ruins and radioactive material released into the atmosphere, the scale of the disaster was yet to be fully understood. As dawn broke over Chernobyl, a catastrophic scene unfolded that required immediate and heroic action. The unthinkable had happened, and the disaster had intensified overnight, presenting a dire scenario. Teams of courageous firefighters and nuclear engineers were swiftly mobilized, tasked with daunting challenges, extinguishing raging fires and curtailing the lethal spread of radiation. These first responders, equipped with basic gear and a profound sense of duty, faced an invisible, silent enemy: radiation. It wasn't a threat that could be doused with water and foam. Despite this, they pressed on, navigating the graphite-covered rooftops of the power plant, enveloped in toxic smoke and scorching heat, risking everything to protect countless lives. Just 3 away, the city of Pripyat stood eerily silent. For its 50,000 residents, the day began like any other, unaware of the looming peril. However, as the gravity of the situation became clear, a meticulously organized evacuation unfolded. Buses lined up, filling with worried families clutching their possessions, unknowingly leaving their homes under the pretense of a brief evacuation, misled by dangerously delayed official communications. Back at the disaster site, with the sun climbing higher, the stakes grew even more profound. Many of those who arrived first were exposed to deadly levels of radiation, jeopardizing their health and tragically claiming many lives. These individuals were not just professionals in their fields. They were parents, friends, and neighbors, everyday heroes who, in facing one of the most significant peacetime disasters, demonstrated immense bravery and sacrifice. Amidst the chaos, the silence from the Soviet government was deafening, speaking volumes about the enormity of the catastrophe being confronted. Chernobyl was not a tragedy confined by geographical boundaries. Its impact was felt worldwide. When the reactor at Chernobyl exploded, it released a cloud of radioactive material that drifted across the skies of Europe. Countries far beyond the immediate vicinity of Ukraine found themselves grappling with a hazardous fallout that knew no borders. Sweden, Germany, Italy, and even parts of the United Kingdom detected elevated levels of radioactivity. This invisible threat brought not just fear, but a tangible change in environmental safety protocols across the continent. The international response was swift and multifaceted. Countries around the world extended their hands in aid. Teams of scientists and disaster response experts were dispatched to the affected areas to assess the situation and help mitigate the damage. This global cooperative effort highlighted the necessity for international solidarity in the face of such unprecedented disasters. The long-term health effects of the Chernobyl disaster have been profound and far-reaching. Increased rates of thyroid cancers and other health issues have been observed in populations from the immediate vicinity extending to other parts of Europe. The psychological impact, too, has been significant, with increased anxiety and stress disorders reported, painting a stark picture of the human cost of nuclear accidents. The invisible enemy had crossed borders, imprinting a legacy of fear and caution on a global scale. Decades have passed, but the shadows of Chernobyl linger. In the wake of the disaster, an area spanning 30 kilometers from the Chernobyl nuclear plant was designated as the exclusion zone. This zone, initially a radius of desolation and danger, has ironically morphed into a perverse sanctuary of sorts. Nature, resilient and persistent, has reclaimed this swath of land. Forests thrive and wildlife roams freely, painting a stark contrast to the human absence. The Chernobyl disaster also acted as a catalyst for significant socio-political change, particularly in the realm of nuclear energy policy. The immediate aftermath saw a global reevaluation of nuclear safety standards. Countries across the world tightened regulations, increased oversight, and some, like Germany, even pledged to phase out nuclear power altogether. This shift was not just bureaucratic, but deeply rooted in a new public consciousness about the risks associated with nuclear technology. Culturally, Chernobyl has etched itself into the collective memory of humanity, transcending its origins as a mere event to become a symbol of catastrophic failure. It has inspired countless documentaries, films, and a critically acclaimed television series that brought the horrors and heroism of those dark days to living rooms around the world. These portrayals have not only educated a global audience, but also sparked a necessary dialogue on the balance between harnessing powerful technologies and ensuring their safe management. Chernobyl stands as a stark reminder of the potential human cost of technological failure. Chernobyl's echoes are not just of tragedy, but also of lessons learned. In the aftermath of the catastrophe, the nuclear energy sector underwent significant transformations. Safety protocols have been tightened, with the introduction of more robust containment structures and fail-safe systems designed to prevent similar disasters. The global community now insists on rigorous safety checks and balances, ensuring that the horrors of Chernobyl are not repeated. Furthermore, Chernobyl taught the world the critical importance of transparency and swift action in times of crisis. The initial secrecy and delayed response exacerbated the situation, leading to unnecessary exposure and prolonged suffering. Today, there's a greater emphasis on open communication and immediate intervention, principles that are now embedded in crisis management strategies worldwide. Research and monitoring at the Chernobyl site continue to this day, providing invaluable data on radioactive decay, ecosystem recovery, and the long-term effects of nuclear fallout. Scientists and researchers meticulously study the zone, learning how to better manage radioactive contamination and rehabilitate affected environments. As we continue to harness the atom's power, Chernobyl remains a somber guidepost on the path of progress and precaution. This event not only reshaped an industry, but also redefined our approach to handling and communicating about disasters, ensuring a safer future for all.